Have you ever wondered why our elders warn us, do not whistle at night? They say the night carries ears that do not belong to the living. Some say it's superstition, but in the village of Ayetoro, one girl learned the truth. Her name was Adeola, and one night, under a bright moon, her innocent whistle opened the door. A door between the living and the restless. What she saw that night changed her forever. Welcome to Ife Ancestral Tales. This is The Night I Whistled and Something Came. The moon hung high above the village of Ayetoro, bathing the thatched roofs in silver light. The wind carried the smell of roasted yam and burning firewood. Crickets sang their endless song, and far in the distance, the drums from the shrine of Ogun echoed faintly through the night. It was the season when the nights stretched longer than the days, and the elders said, that is when the spirits walk the earth more freely. In a small compound near the stream lived Adeola, a 16-year-old girl with curious eyes and a brave heart. Her grandmother, Mama Ireti, was the oldest woman in Ayetoro, the village's living library. She was the one people came to when dreams turned dark or when ancestors sent messages through the wind. That night, after the evening meal, Adeola sat outside. The moonlight kissed her face as she watched fireflies dance above the cassava field. She hummed softly to herself, then remembered a rhythm she once heard from the traveling drummers at the last market day. Without thinking, she began to whistle. It was sweet at first, light and playful. But after a few seconds, the wind shifted. The fireflies scattered. The crickets went silent. The air grew cold, like water from a deep well. From inside the hut came her grandmother's sharp voice. Adeola, stop that sound now. Startled, Adeola froze mid-whistle. Grandmother, it's only a song. Mama Ireti stepped out, her wrapper tied tightly around her chest, her face serious and unreadable. My child, she said softly, no human calls the night spirits unless they are ready to see them. Adeola smiled nervously. Spirits? Grandmother, it's just a sound. Before she could finish, a reply whistle came from the forest. Low, slow, and too close. Adeola's smile disappeared. She looked toward the dark line of trees behind the stream. Grandmother, did you hear that? Mama Ireti's face turned pale. She grabbed Adeola's wrist firmly. It is not every voice you answer in the dark, she whispered. Go inside now. But as they turned, the whistling came again, from the other side of the compound this time, then behind the goat pen, then from the direction of the stream. The sound moved like something circling them. Adeola's knees weakened, her lips trembled. Grandmother, who's there? She called out. Silence, then a whisper. Her own voice echoed faintly, though she hadn't spoken again. Mama Ireti dropped to the ground, reached for her small leather pouch, and threw a handful of cowrie shells into the dust. They scattered, clicking as they fell. The old woman stared at them, her breathing heavy. The pattern they formed was strange. 3 open shells facing the moon. 2 turned downward, and 1 broken clean in half. Mama Ireti's eyes widened. Ah, this is the sign of Abarun, the spirit who walks between the living and the dead, she murmured. Adeola stepped closer. What does it mean? Her grandmother's voice was low. It means the boundary between worlds has been disturbed. Someone from our bloodline is trying to speak. Adeola swallowed hard. From our bloodline? Mama Ireti looked straight at her. Your father's spirit is restless tonight. Adeola froze. Her father had died 5 years ago in a fishing accident by the same stream that now whispered to them. But why tonight? She whispered. The old woman sighed, her eyes glistening. Because the dead listen when the living call without meaning to. The night went silent again. The wind stopped completely, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Mama Ireti gathered the cowrie shells and whispered a prayer to the ancestors. Then she turned to Adeona. Inside, my child, do not open that door till the first cock crows. As Adeola entered the hut, she glanced back one last time. The forest looked still, calm, harmless. But just before she shut the door, a shadow moved at the edge of the trees, tall, slow, and smiling. Morning came slowly to the village of Ayetoro. The cock crowed, the mist rose from the stream, and the first sunbeam touched the roof of sleeping huts. Everything seemed peaceful again, but peace can be deceptive. When Adeola stepped outside, the air smelled strange, sweet but heavy. The ground was damp, as if rain had fallen, but the sky was dry. She walked to the compound gate, rubbing her sleepy eyes. That was when she saw it. Footprints. They began from the stream and stopped just beside the spot where she had stood the night before. The footprints were wide and deep, as if made by a person much larger than any man in the village. Grandmother, Adeola called, her voice shaking. Come and see this. Mama Ireti came out slowly, her wrapper tied across her chest, her face already knowing something wasn't right. She followed Adeola's hand to the ground and frowned deeply. Eledumare, save us, she whispered. Those are not the steps of any living thing. The older woman bent down, tracing the prints with her finger. They were faintly warm, as if whoever made them had left moments ago. Adeola looked at her grandmother in confusion. Could it be Father Spirit? Mama Ireti sighed. If it were his, the air would smell of the sea, not this. She sniffed the air again and made the sign of protection with her hand. This is the scent of a wandering one, a spirit with no home. Adeola shivered. But why would it come here? Because you called it, Adeola. Mama Ireti said quietly. Your whistle opened the path. And once a spirit finds a door, it rarely leaves without entering. Adeola's chest tightened with guilt. What should we do now? You must not leave the compound today, her grandmother warned. I will visit Baba Essan, the priest by the forest. He alone can read the signs. As Mama Ireti prepared to leave, she handed Adeola a small beaded charm made of red and white cowries. If you hear the whistle again, hold this tightly and call my name. Do not answer the sound. Adeola nodded. gripping it as if it were life itself. When Mama Areti disappeared down the footpath, the compound fell silent again. Even the goats refused to bleat. Hours passed. Adeola sat by the doorway, her eyes scanning the forest edge. Then she heard it, a faint rustle. At first, she thought it was just the wind. But then she saw something move among the trees, a shadow, tall and still. "Who's there?" she asked softly. No answer, only silence. Then from the same direction came a whistle. Soft, slow, familiar. Adeola's heart nearly stopped. It was the same tune she had whistled last night, the exact rhythm, note for note. She clutched a charm and whispered, "Grandmother said I must not answer." But then a voice came with a whistle. A man's voice, calm, gentle. "Adeola, my daughter." She froze. The voice sounded exactly like her father's. "Papa," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "Papa, is that you?" The wind picked up, carrying his scent, that same mix of salt water and palm oil she remembered from childhood. "Come closer, my child," the voice said softly. "I have waited for you by the stream." Adeola's legs trembled. Every part of her wanted to run to him, but her grandmother's warning echoed in her mind. "It is not every voice you answer in the dark." The charm in her hand grew hot. The cowries rattled softly like teeth. Adeola turned toward the hut, fighting her tears. "If you are truly my father," she whispered, "then tell me something only you would know." There was silence. Then a soft laugh. Too cold, too long. "You called me, child. You don't question what you summon." The wind howled. The footprints on the ground began to glow faintly, one by one, leading back toward the forest. Adeola's charm burst open, scattering cowries across the sand. And from the forest edge, something began to step out, slowly, in human form, but not human at all. The wind hissed through the palm trees as the figure by the forest's edge stepped forward. Its shape shimmered like heat rising from fire, almost human, but not quite. Adeola's chest tightened. The charm her grandmother gave her lay broken on the ground, its beads scattered like spilled blood. "Papa," she whispered again, though her voice shook. The figure smiled, too wide, too bright. When it spoke, the sound came from many mouths at once. "You called me, Adeola. The door opened, and I walked through." Adeola stumbled back, her bare feet brushing the glowing footprints. Each one flickered and dimmed as she stepped on it, as if the path itself was alive. Inside her heart, something whispered, "Run!" But another voice, softer, older, said, "Listen." She closed her eyes and forced herself to speak. "If you are truly my father, what do you want from me?" The spirit's eyes glowed faintly. "To finish what I could not. To pay the debt that binds our blood to the river beneath this village." Adeola frowned, confused. "Debt? What debt?" The spirit looked toward the stream, where the morning sun now shimmered like melted glass. "Long before you were born, your ancestors took what was not theirs. They built this village on sacred ground, on the resting place of the Ayetoro, the spirits of the stream. Every 7 generations, one child must be offered back. It was meant to be your father, but he escaped the call, and now the river wants what it is owed." Adeola's breath caught in her throat. "You mean it wants me?" The spirit tilted its head, and for a moment, its face looked truly like her father's, kind, tired, loving. "If you come willingly, it will be gentle." A sudden gust of wind swept through the compound, scattering ashes from the fire pit. Adeola took a step back, shaking her head. "No, my grandmother will stop you. She knows the ways of the old spirits." At that, the spirit's smile vanished. "Your grandmother," it hissed, "was the one who bound me here. She traded my freedom to save your life the day you were born." Adeola's heart dropped. That can't be true. But deep inside, she remembered something. The old scar across Mama Ireti's wrist, the one she always hid beneath her wrapper. The old woman had once said quietly, "Every child comes with a price." Adeola stepped closer to the spirit, trembling. If my grandmother truly did that, then why appear now? Why not come before? The figure's face flickered, half shadow, half light. "Because last night, your whistle broke the seal. The sound of your breath carries your blood, and through it, I found my way back." Before Adeola could answer, a sudden voice rang from the forest path. "Adeola, get away from there!" It was Mama Ireti, running with her walking stick in one hand and a gourd filled with white chalk in the other. The spirit snarled and began to fade into mist. Mama Ireti reached Adeola's side, breathing heavily. She drew a line of chalk on the ground and began chanting, her voice shaking the air. "Ajeorun, go back to your waters. The time has not yet come." The spirit screamed, twisting like smoke caught in firelight. But just before it vanished completely, it whispered, "She cannot hide forever. When the 3rd moon rises, the river will claim its due." And then, silence. Adeola fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. "Grandmother, was that truly my father?" Mama Ireti looked away, her voice breaking. "Your father's soul is trapped between worlds. He was a good man, but he carried a secret too heavy for one life. The river wants balance, child, and balance always comes with a cost." Adeola looked toward the stream again. The water now rippled without wind. Beneath its surface, something moved. Something large, golden, and watching. 3 nights passed. The village of Ayetoro lay quiet beneath a silver moon, full and heavy like an eye watching from the heavens. The elders whispered that the air smelled different, damp and sharp, like rain mixed with something older. Inside her hut, Adeola sat awake. The charm her grandmother had repaired hung around her neck, glowing faintly. She could not sleep. Each night since the spirit's visit, she had heard faint whistling beneath her dreams, soft, distant, like a voice calling from underwater. Mama Ereti sat by the fire, grinding chalk into powder. "The third moon is here," she said quietly. "The river will ask again tonight." Adeola looked up, fear in her eyes. "Grandmother, if the river truly wants a soul, will it take mine?" Mama Ereti stopped grinding. Her voice came out low. "I have seen this before. The debt must be paid by blood of the same line. Either the father goes or the daughter." Adeola's heart broke. "But father is gone, trapped between worlds." The old woman nodded slowly. "Then I will go in his place." Adeola's eyes widened. "No, you've protected me all my life." Mama Ereti smiled weakly. "That is why it must be me. I opened the gate when you were born. I made the promise. Now I must close it." Before Adeola could argue, a deep rumble echoed across the land. The ground trembled. From the direction of the stream, a low hum filled the night, like thousands of unseen voices whispering together. Mama Ereti rose to her feet. "It begins." They walked to the stream. The water glowed faintly blue, swirling in unnatural circles. Mist rose from its surface, and in the center appeared the same shadow that had spoken before, now tall as a palm tree, its eyes like liquid fire. "The debt is due," the spirit's voice thundered. "One must cross into the deep." Adeola clutched her grandmother's hand. "Grandmother, don't!" Mama Ereti stepped forward calmly, the wind lifting her wrapper like wings. "I offer myself, Ajeorun. I release the child. Take me, and let peace return to this land." The spirit laughed softly. "The river remembers the bargain, old woman." But the child's breath broke the seal. The call came from her lips. It must end with her. Adeola's knees weakened. "Please," she cried, "take me instead of her. I was the one who whistled. I called you without knowing. Let my life end the curse." For a moment, silence. The spirit tilted its head as if listening to voices only it could hear. Then the river began to rise, curling into a great column of glowing water. Within it, faces appeared, ancient, sorrowful, watching. Suddenly, a golden light burst from Mama Ereti's chalk bag. She threw the powder into the air, shouting words in the language of the ancestors. "By the bond of blood and by the voice of the living, I seal the river's mouth." The water screamed. The ground shook. Adeola fell to her knees, covering her ears. When she looked up, she saw her grandmother standing in the middle of the glowing stream, her eyes peaceful. The spirit's light wrapped around her, then sank deep beneath the water. The river calmed, the glow faded, only the moonlight remained. Adeola ran to the edge, shouting, "Grandmother! Mama Ereti!" No answer, only the gentle ripple of the current. A single cowrie shell floated to the surface and drifted toward her. She held it close to her chest, tears streaming down her face. Then, for the first time, she heard her grandmother's voice, soft and distant, carried by the wind. "Remember, Adeola, not every sound is meant to be answered. Some doors must stay closed, even to love. The night became still again. The river flowed quietly, like it always had. But from that day, no one in Ayetoro ever whistled after sunset. The elders taught the children, when you whistle at night, the wind may whistle back, and not every voice that answers is human. Adeola grew into a wise woman, keeper of stories and secrets. Every full moon, she placed a white flower by the stream and whispered a prayer to Mama Areti, whose spirit now guarded the border between the living and the dead. And when the young ones asked, "Why must we not whistle at night?" she would smile sadly and say, "Because the night has ears, and the river remembers." There is wisdom in the old warnings. Every sound carries a spirit. Respect the silence of the night, for not all echoes come from the living. And so, Adeola learned that not every sound deserves an answer. The silence of the night is sacred, a time when spirits walk and ancestors listen. Her grandmother's sacrifice became a warning for generations. When the night is quiet, keep it that way. Because sometimes what you call might just call you back. Our ancestors left us signs, not to frighten us, but to protect us from what our eyes cannot see. If this story touched your spirit, light up the comments with one word: respect. Because respect for the unseen is wisdom that never dies. I am Ife Ancestral Tales, keeper of stories, true daughter of my ancestors. Till the next moon rises, stay blessed and stay guided.